Hello and a warm welcome to the special program on the Federal Capital Beat. So recently, Supreme Court refused to stay the case where the Election Commission granted the bow and arrow symbol to the Eknath Shinde camp. Obviously, it was a huge setback to the Uddhav Thackeray camp and him. But what are the options before Uddhav Thackeray, and how does the politics in Maharashtra unfold from here on? I'm joined by a very special guest, Rajya Sabha MP from Shiv Sena, Priyanka Chaturvedi. Welcome on the federal, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, Neeluji.
Priyanka, the first question is that obviously it's a huge setback as to what Supreme Court has said, and about the bow and arrow symbol having gone to the Eknath Shinde camp. Now, how does the Uddhav Thackeray camp really prepare itself from here on?
So, two things. The Supreme Court will continue to hear the case. It hasn't dismissed the case. It refused to put a stay, and after 3 weeks they're going to start hearing both sides. But yes, refusal to stay also was something. We respect the Supreme Court for taking a decision, and we have faith in the Supreme Court. And things will emerge because there are two simultaneous cases going on. One is about the 5-judge benches listening to the entire procedure of how the betrayal happened, how 16 MLAs who stand to be disqualified is still being heard in the Supreme Court. And parallelly, there's going to be a 3-judge bench, which is going to be discussing this election commission decision. And I don't call election commission anymore. I call it the entirely compromised institution of India. And I'm not the only one who feels that way. Justice K.M. Joseph, in a recent judgment, held this opinion that it is incorrect for the ruling dispensation of the center to recommend names single-handedly to the president and the president going and announcing it. Something as recent as a recent election commissioner's appointment. He sought voluntary retirement a day prior. Within a day, you get all clearances get done, and he's appointed the next day. Mm-hmm. There is nothing like a mandatory cooling off period anymore. Today, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court gets nominated to the Rajya Sabha by the ruling party. Then you have, former ED directors resigning, taking voluntary retirement, and jumping into an election the next day. Chief of Army Staff, resigning, retiring on a day, 2 days prior, and within 1 month, talking about wanting to contest an election as a Lok Sabha MP. So these are pillars of democracy, and those pillars of democracy, if they intertwine with parliamentary processes and are being used by the system, it becomes unfortunate, and it's a question that needs to be asked. Now, coming to our party, the Shiv Sena, the entirely compromised institution of India, the day it decided to hand over this party symbol and the party name to the faction which broke away on the base of legislative strength, not even on the base of organizational strength. And how do you decide the legislative strength when 16 of your MLAs stand to be suspended? On what basis did the Election Commission decide this? And going by the organizational strength, overwhelmingly, the cadre has stayed with our faction. Overwhelming number of people in the party, right from our shakhas to our, party workers, right from the top to the bottom, haven't split.
But Priyanka, if I may ask you, when you say that most of the cadres are with Uddhav Thackeray, now who is this cadre? People do not know, and obviously when Election Commission granted the bow and arrow symbol to Eknath Shinde, they say that most of the MLAs and the MPs, they are with Eknath Shinde and not with Uddhav Thackeray.
I will repeat to you, out of the MLAs and MLCs, Rajya Sabha MPs, Lok Sabha MPs, out of 19 MPs in the Lok Sabha, 13 have gone with them. 6 MPs stay with us. Similarly, in Rajya Sabha, there has been no split. 3 MPs are with us. So 9 MPs continue to be with us. In the Legislative Council, we have 10 MLCs with us. And we have over 16 MLAs with us. Fine. My point is, when you say who is the party cadre? Party cadre is not the person who has won the seat on the basis of legislative strength and voters' confidence. Who did the voters vote for? Voters voted for Shiv Sena party symbol under the leadership of Uddhav Bala Saheb Thakeray in 2019. That cannot be challenged. How did these elected nominees win? On the back and hard work of the cadre support. Now, this cadre support that has worked intensively to get these people to win, these individuals to win, are party people. You ask me who's the organization strength, the cadre right from office bearers to primary members to national executive, national office bearers. All of them, in overwhelming majority, through affidavits submitted to the entirely compromised institution, have been given to them. Out of 220 national executive office bearers, 180 are with us. Out of primary members, over 12 lakh primary members are with us, vis-a-vis 2 odd lakh with them. Now, out of various other office bearers, over 3 lakh are with us. They do not even have about 40,000 or whatever, something on. So when you say test of majority can never be on the basis of the legislative strength you've taken. So today it is with the Shiv Sena. Tomorrow, and the 10th schedule is very clear. The 10th schedule says that a legislative party is not bigger than the political party. The political party and the legislative parties are two structures, and political party directs the legislative party on what to do and how to go about it. So when the political party leader is Uddhav Bala Saheb Thakeray, and you create a rebellion, then you cannot be handed over the party symbol and the ticket. It's like it can happen tomorrow to, let's say, Aam Aadmi Party, YSRCP, BJD. There's some people, pick up legislators, pay them huge amounts of money, undermine the constitutional process, pull down a government. Till then, maybe they've changed their mind. They want to pull down a government, fine. As for the constitutional morality or the democratic principle, the idea of doing away with the split, recognizing split in the party in the anti-defection law, the idea was to do away with horse trading. This is clear-cut case of horse trading and then usurping the party. Never heard of in India's history before, electoral history before.
So, Priyanka, what are the options now left for Uddhav Thackeray except to be dependent on what the court now says? And so, how does the battle play out? You have a BNC election, then you have elections. Yes,
the
Priyanka?
battle is not in a democracy. The battle is not just the various means and methods we have through constitutional processes, which is, of course, we have faith in the Supreme Court. We had the faith in our election commission to do what is right. But election commission, like I said, has compromised its values, compromised what it stands for, and it has taken a decision overnight, ignoring overwhelming number of cadre support that we have. That is their decision to take, and that is their role in history that they will, the country will know. And they have shamed their own history, and time will tell how they have been shameful and they've bent when they were asked, they crawled when they were asked to bend. Please allow me to complete. Allow me to complete. The supreme test of democracy is in its people. We are very confident that the people will stand by Uddhav Thackeray. They have seen his leadership during COVID. He has been appreciated, applauded, not just in India, but globally. Whether it was the Mumbai model, whether it was how he managed with the oxygen provisions, how he managed beds, emergency cases, and how his data was transparent and clean. None of the newspapers doing investigative stories on Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, various other states could point a finger to how Maharashtra was being honest with its numbers. And that is what his strength is. People are what our strength is. Democracy is about its people. And we can exhaust all our ways and means to show that this is incorrect. If we fail on those battles, we will continue to fight. But our ultimate test would be the will of the people.
But when you say that Election Commission of India is the entirely compromised institution, what does that mean really for your party? When those are strong words which you use. So are you not going to contest elections? Will you not depend on Election Commission further? What is it going to play out like?
No. Why would we not want to contest an election? Just because someone's playing unfair, should we stop playing fair? Should I stop believing in India's democracy? Should I stop believing in India's constitution? Today, when Mr. K.M. Joseph said what he did, does that mean that there can be no space for reforms? Does that mean that election commission cannot be corrected? Or there can be no course correction coming via Supreme Court? I think that's quite an unfair statement to say that, aren't we going to contest elections? Of course we'll contest elections. Of course, we'll hope that election commission is held accountable and there's transparency maintained. And it's not just about the Shiv Sena here. It is about the future of how political parties work. And if you are going to recognize only the legislative strength of the parties, or legislative strength, then you should do away with political parties. You should have auctions of MLAs who win. Let the election commission give a symbol, independent symbol, to everyone who wants to fight in a constituency. And then whoever is the richest party can auction for them. There can be horse trading, open horse trading. You see, what has happened is very clear. Enforcement Directorate, which I called Extended Department of the Bharatiya Janata Party, chief of CBI called the chief of Bharatiya Janata Party's investigation wing, and IT are being used to pull down governments unconstitutionally and going after political opponents. We've seen how arrests have happened overnight. If you've read the bail order of Sanjay Raoji, you would realize that the bail order categorically slams the extended department of Bharatiya Janata Party, the ED as we know it, for doing something which is absolutely illegal. So you set opponents, in the opposition governed states, you let loose these people, these agencies, who have now become your election toolkits, and then you wheel in the Election Commission of India to give it a stamp of approval.
No, but
so we're fighting that. We're fighting all these forces.
Right. But for your party, what is of primary importance? It's all about, it seems at least that, the fight is all about the legacy of Uddhav Thackeray. And obviously, because Uddhav Thackerays father was Bala Thackeray, it's about the legacy of Bala Thackeray, which the party is fighting for. And on the other hand, you have a fight for the institutional integrity, that, the institutions are not working. Now, what would you take as your primary agenda? Is it the fight for the legacy of Bala Saheb Thakeray, or is it going to be the fight for the institutional integrity?
So first, let me tell you, the legacy of Bala Saheb Thakeray continues to firmly be with Uddhav Bala Saheb Thakeray. I gave an example today. In the British Raj, the Britishers stole the Kohinoor diamond from us, and they used it on the crown of their queen to show their importance. But till date, that diamond is called a diamond which was stolen from India. That diamond and British Empire is called a gang of thieves. And there is a growing consensus in Europe that that diamond needs to come back to India. It's a cursed diamond for the UK right now. I say the same. So the constitutional, आप चोरी तो कर सकते हैं, पर उस चोरी के साथ आपका चोर का ठप्पा लगेगा. आपका ठप्पा ये नहीं लगेगा कि legacy carriers आप हैं. So election commission can be wheeled in, anybody can be wheeled in. But the legacy of Bala Saheb Thakeray ji will firmly stay with Uddhav Bala Saheb Thakeray ji's party and Shri Aditya Thackeray ji's party. So they try as they might, they can do whatever they want. People know where the legacy stands. So that is the legacy question.
But your own
Uddhav ji challenged yesterday, if you have the guts and you believe that you can win on your own and you'll have won on your own, then fight the election without Bala Saheb Thakeray ji's photo. And he gave a very good example. So Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was banned by the RSS, but he all appropriated Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. They appropriated Subhash Chandra Bose in West Bengal. Now they're trying to appropriate Bala Saheb Thakeray ji because they don't have their own heroes. They don't have their own legacy. They don't have their own faith and belief. All they want is power, and people understand that.
Your own ally Sharad Pawar says that, the party needs to move on. The poll symbol will not matter. And he gave the example of Congress, that you had a bullock cart as a symbol, but then they later on adopted a new symbol. So is the party, is Shiv Sena, is it trying to be over insistent? Like when your own allies feel?
That's his opinion. What the allies feel does not necessarily become what we will do. That's his opinion. We respect that opinion. We value that opinion. But we will fight our fight. It's for a party to fight. And now coming back to the Congress party symbol. The Congress party fight that happened, the symbol was frozen. Both the sides got new symbols. No one side got the same symbol. They got new symbols. It would have been very fair to compare this if the entirely compromised institution of India, like they've done in the case of Vilas Paswanji's party, Ram Vilas Paswanji's party, where they've frozen their main election symbol, given two party names to two different sections, and have not come to the conclusion like they've come to the conclusion. Similar issue, 2021, a year prior to what happened in Shiv Sena. Till now, Election Commission hasn't taken a call who the party belongs to. So both sides are now having new symbols, new party symbols. Same thing happened in the Congress side. I mean, there was a Congress I, there was a Congress O, if I'm not mistaken, or was it Congress J?
Right.
But the part is there were new party names and new party symbols. Not a frozen party symbol handed over to those who went against the party.
Right.
एक तो चोर चोरी करे और चोर को इनाम दे दी जाए पुलिस की तरफ से कि लो भाई साहब आपको हम अवार्ड देते हैं क्योंकि आपने चोरी करने की हिम्मत रखी, साहस रखा. This is the sar of what election commission has done. This is the main sar of what has happened. चोरी हुई है, डंके की चोट पे हुई है, दुनिया भर ने देखी है, और उन चोरों को माला पहनाई जा रही है, उनका सत्कार किया जा रहा है. चोर चोर ही रहेगा, उनके अब माथे पे लिखा हुआ है.
But how much support is Uddhav Thackeray getting on this issue? Do you have other political parties backing you on this particular pretext?
Overwhelming political parties, right from the DMK to the RJD to the JDU to the Aam Aadmi Party to the Congress because it happened to be an alliance to NCP to various other parties, including those who are staying silent because they also know it can happen to them. Today it's happening to Shiv Sena, tomorrow it can happen to BJD. Day after it can happen to, and why I keep insisting on BJD and YSRCP are because they continue to be silent allies of the BJP.
Right.
And if a longest standing alliance partner in the BJP NDA, the initial NDA that was formed during Atal Bihari Vajpayee's era, we happen to be one of those, stood the test of time in terms of the alliance. And if they can do this to us in such a mercenary way, then there is no pleasing their appetite or fulfilling their appetite. They will come for you. And if you don't speak up now, there would be no one left to speak for you. And that is why we continue to insist that if it can happen to Shiromani Akali Dal, they can do it to the Shiv Sena, they can do this to the JDU, the longest standing allies, they can do this to anybody, anyone's fair game.
But what is your sense, Priyanka? People within BJP say that, now the politics in Maharashtra will never be the same and it will never be what we saw. What is your sense? And how does it really change?
I'll give you two examples. We were given a new party symbol and we were asked to contest Andheri East by-poll. Overnight, again, that decision came 2 days prior to the election, or a week prior to the election. We won that election emphatically with more votes that we polled than 2019. I'll give you the example of the latest, the 30-year-old seat that was being held by the Bharatiya Janata Party, won by the Congress as Mahavikas Aghadi Alliance. So are we saying there's no ground support? So I will not hear what BJP is selling to me. I will not speak the language that BJP wants us to speak. I will not think from the space of what BJP wants us to think. The fact of the matter is the overwhelming number of people feel there was a betrayal. A good chief minister, a chief minister who was doing splendidly well for the people during the COVID, did not err in terms of judgment, err in terms of appeasement, err in terms of showing favoritism, was committed to his goals and cause, has been pulled down. And if y'all would have seen visuals the day he left the official chief minister bungalow, there was no single resident of Maharashtra who didn't have tears in their eyes. And that's the sentiment. If BJP thinks politics is not going to be the same before, yes, it's not going to be the same as ever before. Because everybody knows that y'all use ED, IT, CBI agencies such as this to pull down well-meaning governments and governments which are not aligned with the BJP. The people know that y'all are the perpetrators of this big betrayal. People of the state know that your appetite to seek power at the cost of constitutional morality and democratic principles does not exist anymore. People also know that power has gone to your head to a point where it becomes centralized way of governance. Indira Gandhi ji declared an emergency. This is an undeclared emergency. She had to face defeat. They will also face defeat. So as much as they might think that political scenario is changing, yes, it is changing. And it is changing towards the side where people will realize that democracy matters most, constitution matters most.
But Priyanka, where does Shiv Sena find itself in the battle for 2024? Or you are not thinking in terms of 2024 right now? Because obviously your first priority would be the BMC elections, and you're waiting to watch whether an alliance comes up in any form. So are you waiting for that? I mean, how prepared are you for the...
We have actually gone and said the only political party who's saying, let's have an election today. We are as prepared as that. Okay. We are prepared for any circumstances and outcome because we know that we have done no wrong. We were on the right side of the truth. So we have an alliance in place right now. We are committed to working together as Mahavikas Aghadi. All polls that are being coming out, surveys are coming out, are categorically showing that Mahavikas Aghadi together will do exceedingly well. Whether it does or not is the will of the people, but we have total faith, implicit faith in the people. And whether it's 2024, which we're looking forward to, whether it is the BMC elections, which we're looking forward to, whether it is the assembly elections, which we're looking forward to, we are very confident that we will all work together. And every time Shiv Sena has faced a setback, and this is not the first time, this is perhaps much massive in scale with the support and support coming from the central government, but we will overcome that as well.
But political experts say that what you said, that we are on the right side of the people and people would vote for you. But political experts call it playing the victim card. So would Uddhav by playing the victim card?
I mean, who are these political experts? I'm sorry. I mean, they sitting in Delhi and being these armchair experts. I hate to say it, I do not want to pull anyone down, but I don't call them experts. Because simply because playing the victim card, I mean, how is it fighting in the Supreme Court, fighting in the Election Commission, fighting for our space and fighting for morality is victim. We are victims. Yes, perhaps we're victims of constitutional immorality. And if these experts feel that they're extremely expert, they realize that BJP will come for them too. And I can't speak the language they speak, but all I can say, and I say it from the point of conviction, that this fight is not fought by those who are cowards. This fight is fought by the brave. Even if you're in minority of one, you will continue fighting that fight. And if these experts want to label us as victims, please go forward, call us victims. You want to call us those who are fighting for the right side of India, you can very well feel free to welcome. Either you come with us, support the idea of democracy and constitution, or allow us to fight our fight. We're not going to be cowed down by these labels.
But will Shiv Sena become a part of any grand alliance? Of course, in Maharashtra, Vikas Aghadi, we've seen an alliance unfolding. Then there is one alliance which we see in Bihar. But if at all at the national level, some kind of an alliance comes up, how or rather, where, I would ask, where does Shiv Sena see itself? You would be with the opposition parties?
Yes, aren't we already? We have been working together. We have been trying to build a consensus. We have been trying to say that it is the need of the hour, that whatever political differences that exist amongst everybody, the need of the hour. And it's not about defeating the Bharatiya Janata Party. It's fighting for the idea of India. And what is that idea of India? What would you say is your idea of India? Would your idea of India be that everybody is fighting against each other all the time? Would your idea of India be that, every time we talk about unemployment, we are ignoring the fact that vast majority of the population is a Hindu population? And if we even look at 10 numbers who are unemployed, 6 to 8 of them would be Hindu homes of unemployment. The rest would be the minority factions. Would you want to live in an environment or work in an environment which is always at loggerheads with its own communities? Would your idea of India be that we only divide people? My idea of India would be that constitution should be supreme. My idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam does not mean that I start to differentiate between the strongest and the weakest, or the eldest versus the youngest. That's not my idea. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam means family. And an enriched family encourages that you pull one up and push the other down.
Absolutely.
So that's how it will be.
Right. But this does sound very good. But when you look at the opposition parties, there are a few parties like Aam Aadmi Party, then the Bharat Rashtra Samiti, Trinamool. They are thinking of a federal front or a second front, what you call. Now, the people are confused whether there's going to be like one national grand alliance of the opposition parties, or you're going to have several fronts coming up. So BJP would have the advantage of this.
No, I don't think people of this country have ever been confused. This was spoken about in even 2004 when elections happened. Okay, no, there is no other front. Oh, there's nothing. The point here is that since Congress has a pan-India presence, it becomes the highest responsibility of the Congress to bring everyone together on one board. And everyone's priority, which Shiv Sena has continued to say, and let me tell you, whether it's the Aam Aadmi Party, whether it is the BRS, whether it is the Congress Party, we have been working seamlessly with all sides. Shiv Sena, Uddhav Bala Saheb Thakeray faction has been, so when the Manish Sisodia ji's letter was signed, it was signed by our party leadership amongst the all party leaders who sent the letter. So the point here is what does the opposition today stand for? The opposition today has to stand. So like you said, everything sounds good. It is a good idea. It is a good idea that I live in a country which provides a safety net for my children. I live in a country which provides education opportunities for my children. I live in a country which is globally connected to the world. And I live in a country which gives me economic stability. And that is the idea, and which also safeguards me from price rise, inflation. My policies are not driven. So it is a good idea to pursue. So pursuing that idea would...
No, I'm saying that this rhetoric has been whipped up by the opposition parties for quite some time, but BJP...
How can you call it rhetoric? How can you call it rhetoric? I'm sorry. How can you call these ideas? No, I'm sorry. I have to interrupt here. This is not rhetoric. Building great institutions for this country is not a rhetoric. Giving economic stability to every section of the country is not rhetoric. Fighting for a unified India, unity in diversity is not rhetoric. India has seen that phase. So please don't call it rhetoric and make it sound so, nonsensical argument from the opposition. This is an idea worth fighting for. When we chose democracy, when we chose a secular constitution, when we chose justice for all, equality for all, and freedom to choose your religion on our own, then why are we calling this rhetoric suddenly? It's in a pledge.
Okay, let me call it a narrative and then ask you that do these issues really resonate amongst the people? Because for the common man, this is an intellectual discussion. Talking about constitutional morality. I'm not saying that this is wrong or you're raising up the wrong issues. I'm not saying at all. We do need all of this. But then will these issues resonate amongst the common people who are, getting the benefits of the Labharthi politics of BJP? That is what is making this whole narrative very, very incredible. And that's what
मुझे आप ये बताइए. No. Labharthi politics of the Bharatiya Janata Party. देश के 80 करोड़ लोगों को राशन मिल रहा था कोविड के समय से. देश के 80 करोड़ लोगों को आप मुफ्त का राशन जो बोलते रहते हैं, उसका मतलब क्या हुआ? कि क्या वो घर सक्षम है कि अपना राशन पानी हैंडल कर पाए? आपने वादा क्या किया था 2014 में? So please don't give me this Labharthi thing, which is making people dependent on the government sponsored schemes.
Okay.
लाभार्थी पता है क्या होता है? लाभार्थी होता है जहां पे बेरोजगारी कम होती है और लोग अपने पैसे कमा पाए और उन्हीं खर्चों पे जी पाए. लाभार्थी क्या होता है कि आप मनरेगा के डेज बढ़ा देते हैं, मनरेगा में लोग ज्यादा आ जाते हैं. ये क्या सही दिशा है देश के लिए? क्या देश में मनरेगा के बजाय वो अपने आप से उनको अगर सही सुविधाएं दी जाएं, एजुकेशन के माध्यम दिए जाएं, कम दामों में अच्छी एजुकेशन दी जाए, हेल्थ दी जाए, व्यवस्था दी जाए, और वो अपने बलबूते पे जो बिजनेसेस देश में आते हैं वो नौकरियां रोजगार पाए, वो ज्यादा लाभार्थी योजना रहेगी या वो लाभार्थी योजना रहेगी जहां आप कहेंगे चलिए कोई नहीं, आपको पास नौकरी नहीं है तो हम आपके घर में राशन भेज रहे हैं? आज आप देश को उस तरफ लेकर जा रहे हो, एक मिनट, आप देश को उस तरफ लेकर जा रहे हो जहां पर आप कहोगे कि देखिए हमने तो आपको मुफ्त का राशन दिया, हमने मुफ्त की वैक्सीन दी. मुफ्त की वैक्सीन तो देश में होती जा रही है ऐसी घटनाओं पे. और लाभार्थी योजना, डोंट सेल मी दैट लाभार्थी योजना सिंपली बिकॉज आप मुझे कहिए कि गरीब से गरीब घर में आज 100 रुपए अगर कमाई होती है, क्या उनकी 100 रुपए की कमाई दुगनी हुई? खर्चा दुगना हुआ है, इतना तो जनता समझती है. चलिए, संविधान की मैं इसलिए बात करी थी क्योंकि इट्स अ लार्जर कंस्ट्रक्ट. एक होता है मैक्रो, एक होता है माइक्रो. तो मेरा मैक्रो आइडिया में एक मिनट प्लीज जस्ट अलाउ मी टू कंप्लीट बिकॉज इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट आर्ग्यूमेंट. 100 रुपए अगर आपके घर में आते थे और आपके घर में 4 कमाऊ लोग हों तो 400 रुपए आने चाहिए. 400 के आय अब दुगनी हो जानी चाहिए. 4 में से 2 की रोजगार निकल गए, 2 लोग चला रहे हैं घर, वही 400 में से अब 200 रुपए आते हैं, खर्चे आपके 800 होते हैं. तो आप मुझे बताइए, जनता ये समझ नहीं रही है. आप प्राइस राइज, अब सिलेंडर के दाम बढ़ते थे 2014 से पहले, ऐसे हुआ बनता था, इतनी जोर जोर से सब्सिडीज होती थी जनता को और उसका राहत मिलता था. आपने सब्सिडीज हटा ली सारी. आप वन टाइम उनको सिलेंडर दे देते हो उन परिवारों को जो बिलो पॉवर्टी लेवल है, क्या वो रिफिल करने गए वो सिलेंडर? तो आप अभी आर्ग्यूमेंट बहुत है। अगर मैं सिर्फ संविधान मैक्रो पिक्चर की दे रही हूँ तो माइक्रो अगर जमीनी हकीकत नहीं है तो क्या है मैं नहीं जानती हूँ। लोग और गरीब हुए, लोग और बेरोजगार हुए, महंगाई के
Absolutely.
दम से और टूटे हैं, भ्रष्टाचार क्रोनी कैपिटलिज्म के माध्यम से दिख रहा है, और मैं कह दूं कि
Priyanka,
नहीं ये तो बहुत रेटोरिक है,
yeah,
जनता वोट
Priyanka,
नहीं कर रही
I'm
है।
not at all dismissing what you have said, but my point is that all these issues which you have raised, and they are very important issues, and nobody, I mean, I personally would not dismiss it at all. All the issues which you are raising, whether it is the constitutional morality, whether it is the institutional integrity, price rise, all these issues are resonating with the people. But my last question to you is the opposition hopeful enough, or rather ready with a plan where you can take all these issues to the people and you are convinced that the people would not vote for BJP but for the opposition parties?
देखिए, अगर देश में सारी संविधान जो है, whether it's the election commission, whether it is the courts, whether it is the ED, IT, CBI, they are allowed to function in a free and fair manner. If a SEBI regulatory body can investigate without fear or favor the entire research report that has come from the Hindenburg report, can do that, that would mean the true victory of what we are fighting for. We may win, we may lose. But does that, just because you lose, does that become an idea worth dropping? No, it's not an idea worth dropping.
Okay.
And it's not just about 24. Of course, we will fight with full faith and full honesty of intent, just in the hope that these institutions will be independent of tampering, of misuse. The bigger fight is this. And the bigger fight also would be that if in 2024 we allow this kind of institutional compromise, then we might as well do away with opposition political parties and let Bharatiya Janata Party run its own model of democracy, which nobody really knows about.
So you do believe that this is a do or die moment for the opposition parties, whichever
They should be.
platform.
They should be treated. They should be treated by all opposition parties as not a do or die. It should be a movement where it is an idea worth fighting for, not to defeat forces, but to win over our institutions, win over independence of our institutions, win over the will of the people, and win over what we believe, an inclusive, progressive, prosperous idea of India. That is what I believe.
Okay. Always a pleasure having you on the program, Priyanka. Thank you so much for sparing your time. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview, share this video as widely as you can and subscribe to our channel, The Federal. Thank you. Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more interesting updates.